Welcome to Day 5 of our Viking River Cruise. It is April 8th, 2016, and today we'll be cruising the Middle Rhine and touring Koblenz, Germany. This morning's journey is all about the castles. The Middle Rhine portion of the river that we're viewing this morning has over 40 castles in just a little over 40 miles of the river. Castles on this stretch of the river are clustered fairly close together, and sometimes you can see 2 or even 3 castles at the same time. It was chilly today, but Tony and I decided we would view the famous Middle Rhine Valley with all its vineyards and castles outside on the upper deck rather than through a window. Fortunately for us, we're from Wisconsin and we came prepared with our hats and mittens. This is the Stahlet Castle, built in 1095 and destroyed by the French in 1689. It was restored in 1925 and was used as a youth hostel. Here's the little town of Bacharach, Germany. The church in the front is St. Peter's Parish Church, and the ruin that you see slightly behind and to the left is that of Werner Chapel that was built in 1290 and destroyed in 1787. Here's the little town of Kob, with Gutenfeld's castle up on the slopes and Pfalzgrafenstein Toll Castle down on the water. The castle seen here is called Cat's Castle. It was built in 1095 and destroyed by the French in the 1600s. Restoration began on this castle in the late 1800s, and in 1989 it was purchased by a private buyer and is no longer publicly toured. This is Reinsfeld's castle. Construction began on this castle in 1245 and it was destroyed in 1792. Restoration did not begin on this castle until 1925, and though it's not completely restored, there is a 1.5-hour guided tour that's available to the public. The little town of Wellmich is the home to the Moss Castle shown here. Construction began on this castle in 1265, and it was home to the Archbishop of Falkenstein until he died in 1418. Eventually the castle went to ruin and was sold at auction for quarrying in 1806. This was later restored by private interests, and it houses a marvelous eagle and falcon farm with free flight bird shows and lecture. This is Schaumburg Castle in the village of Oberwessel. This castle was the home to the Marshals of Schaumburg. The last one died in 1689, at which time the family went extinct. 30 years later, the French burnt the castle down. Eventually it was restored and is now a deluxe hotel. This is Marksburg Castle. It was built in 1150 and it's the only castle along this stretch of the river that has never been destroyed. When we dock in Koblenz, we'll be taking a bus and coming back to this castle for a tour later this afternoon. A scrumptious lunch was served on the front deck of the ship, and we arrived in Koblenz, Germany at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The tour buses were waiting for us to take us to Marksburg Castle for our tour. Our guide pointed out the herbs growing here along the castle wall. She also pointed out the outhouse against the wall up above the garden. Apparently when they used the outhouse, it would drop down into the garden and fertilize the herbs. The object shown here is a medieval chastity belt. The landowners would lock these on their wives when they went off to war. This was shown in the armor room, but I think it probably belonged more in the torture museum. These are our Texan friends, Judy and Jan, that we met on the cruise. Back to the ship for some more R&R. Tonight, in the dining room, they served A Taste of Germany, accompanied by authentic German musicians playing the organ grinder and the accordion. Not your normal dinner music, but okay for a once-in-a-lifetime trip. And that's how we ended day 5 of our cruise.